Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm your little no shorty, and today we're going to review one of the strangest comic books I've ever read. The Ice Cream Man, the Mortal Coil Shuffle, should I say. And when I say it's an unusual little comic book, I'm really not kidding. This is literally the comic. These are in order, exactly as packaged. Start at the beginning, read all the way through to the end. This is your card. No spoilers, obviously. And one of the reasons why I'm kind of to talk about this one is I have in the past, and probably will continue to, talk about how much I enjoy when a fantastic group of creators can mess around with form in ways that are interesting and exciting. Now, some people do this fantastically. They can play around with page layouts. They can use flow really effectively by moving things through static imagery. There's stuff you can do even with how you put onomatopoeia or thought bubbles, all that kind of work into making it flow. Sadly, not everyone who does this kind of inventive storytelling can handle it very well indeed. I remember very early on when I first opened the store up, there was a Winter Soldier thing, which was just trying far too hard and ineffectually to capture that kind of magic which I really like, and I ended up genuinely just getting annoyed with it. Now, the reason why this is getting the mention, not only because it is such an odd little idea, but it is also handled fairly masterfully. For a start, we have on the back, there's literal instructions making sure you know to read it in order. Now, my first thought when I saw that feels like, well, why wouldn't you read it in order? And then it occurred to me, because the number of times I've had this deck in my hand so far, and I've been very tempted just to start shuffling. It's probably just a me thing. Sometimes when I'm doing tabletop role-playing and I'm a player, but I'm not really heavily engaged with the story at the time, I have a deck of cards on me so I can do something with my hands. So having these, yeah, I probably already would have given them a fairly good ruffle shuffle by now if it wasn't for the instructions. But even if you do, they do still all have weird little numbers on them, so you can get them back in order if you need to. So thankfully, giving them a shuffle won't completely destroy how you engage with it, but I like the fact that effort was made there. On top of that, there is this idea of, as I say, making sure the text and the art actually works well together when you're playing around with unusual form. I think this is more important when flow is an issue. Fairly recently in a power fantasy book, there was a rather wonderful, big double-page spread, which was a single image but action flowing around it, and you follow it by following the story as written, and it makes sense how it's going along. With these, pretty much all you're going to get in terms of story is something like that. Bunch of text, picture with some extra stuff in there. Obviously not all of it. You do also get the Magic Gathering collectible card game-esque kind of thing going on. Some stuff a little bit more basic than others, but still absolutely adds to the story. Be very surprised if there wasn't a tarot card in there. And the way this all flows feels brilliant. It's the kind of thing where it'd be the first and easy thing to get wrong if it didn't read like a comic book, if it didn't have that sense of narrative drive going through it, if you weren't using the words on the card and the artwork as well to tell the same story and to get it to flow in a way and move it in a way which is narratively satisfying. It handles that brilliantly, damn near perfectly, I'd say. There's one little moment where you have like an Uno reverse thing going on, which I had to double check and make sure I hadn't screwed something up or I hadn't already inadvertently shuffled some cards around. But in the end, everything was when it's supposed to be, and it was just me being nervous that I'd made a mistake, because it is kind of possible. All that, with the form, works brilliantly. And I've got to say, again, just I love the fact that they've taken the shot at this. But if you've read any Ice Cream Man stuff before, you know that they can have done this past, and they can do it really effectively. Now, in terms of the actual story, that would also be a place it could fall apart. There could have been so much effort put into making this a gimmick, a thing that you buy because of what it is, not what it does. But thankfully, the story is really good. It does everything that I'm used to seeing from an Ice Cream Man story, which is looking at almost mundane human misery and making it horrific and captivating. There is the supernatural elements that goes on with it, but there's also just this idea of things can go wrong, and it's almost a guilty pleasure to gain enjoyment from taking part in a story where that happens. Even a fictional story like this, because it pulls on real world threads and it will be very easy to be disheartened by it. But The creators absolutely nail it. Everything works exactly as it should do, and I got to the end of it. I found myself thoroughly enjoying the story, and happy that I've got a few extra decks of this in store, because I imagine there's going to be a few people coming to comic book stores and trying to buy this, and I'm really happy that they will. That's everything for now, though. Until I see you all again, look after you, everyone. Stay safe.